Remember when Pfaff left Porsche and had a nightmare season in the McLaren GT3? Remember when I said they switched to Lambo to make things better? Well, as they say in Jamaica, out of the frying pan, into the fire. Tis with great regret that I announced that Pfaff Motorsports have once again suffered an IMSA season from hell, this time with the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 EVO2. I don't think we need any backstory, so let's just cut to the chase, yes? My name is Intern, I talk wheel, and this is Pfaffborghini and the season from hell. Right, so after binning off the McLaren 720S and adopting the new Lamborghini, the Plaid lads sought to reclaim their spot as one of IMSA's best GTD Pro teams. Due to the Lamborghini alliance, Pfaff would now have factory-backed drivers from Lamborghini. The team would be anchored by Andrea Caldarelli and Marco Mappelli, with good old James Hinchcliffe coming back for endurance rounds. That journey began at the season-opening Rolex 24. Fun fact, I was there and I saw this beauty in person. But anyways, on to the race. Caldarelli put the Pfaffborghini P5 for the first race of the year. But in just the first 8 minutes of the race, Andrea wheeled the Lamborghini straight to the lead and controlled the race from there. The car lost the lead after a slow pit stop but continued to run up front going into the night. However, the Pfaffborghini would meet a fatal end around the 8-hour mark. On a restart, Louis Delatraz would lose control of his number 40 Cadillac, triggering a massive accident that collected and took out many, including our protagonist. The Pfaffborghini would record a DNF in its first race. Luckily, despite that, it showed great pace and had the team's spirits high as IMSA headed to round 2, another crown jewel, the 12 hours of Sebring. Last year, the race fell apart after a lap 1 incident. However, this time, from P8, the car did survive lap 1. You see, this year, the Pfaffborghini waited just a little bit longer for calamity to strike. Just 20 minutes into the 12-hour race, the Pfaffborghini pulled into the pits. Why? Well, the torque sensor was giving them issues. What's a torque sensor, you ask? Well, new to the GT classes this year are torque sensors, added to the car as part of the balance of performance. Basically what it does is it measures the car's power output to ensure that it's not exceeding the parameters set by BOP. If IMSA says your car has a horsepower limit of X, the torque sensor is what they use to ensure your car runs no greater than X horsepower. Anyways, one of the torque sensors on the Pfaffborghini broke or something, which is a no-no for IMSA rules, so they had to fix it. Safe to say, it took forever, which relegated them to last in GTD Pro, and they ended up beating only one GTD Pro car that race, that being the number 14 Lexus. 2 unlucky races to start off, so a rebound was needed at Laguna Seca, and that's exactly what they got in the form of a P4 at the checkered flag. The result was proof that the Pfaffborghini could do great things without trouble, something it proved again by going one better in the streets of Detroit and bagging its first podium of the season in P3. The Plaid lads' momentum actually kept rising because come the third endurance race of the year at Watkins Glen, Caldarelli put the Pfaffborghini on pole position, which is massive for a championship that gives points for both qualifying and race. Unfortunately, the great run of form for Pfaff nosedived in this very race. At around the 2-hour mark, the cameras cut to the Pfaffborghini way off the track and stationary. An electrical issue with the car made the car lock up and go off track. It would lose a couple laps, but the safety team got the car back out of the grass and onto the track a couple laps down. However, the car would croak for good an hour later, leading Pfaff to record its second DNF of the year. The Pfaffborghini would head to its home race, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and the team even ran a throwback livery to the good old days of 2022. Anyways, they bagged a P5, a decent result given the team's poor luck. During practice for the round at Road America, the Pfaffborghini, fun fact by the way, they apparently named the chassis Julia, got written off completely during a practice crash. The damage was so great that the team had to borrow a spare chassis from Forte Racing, a team in GTD that also fields a Lamborghini. They named their chassis Bonnie. P6, nothing crazy, given the bad luck they've had all season, so we move. The all-GT race at VIR saw the Pfaffborghini finish a lowly P9 of the 10 GTD Pro cars in the race. Fun fact, they got a brand new chassis for this race and they named it Federica. At the penultimate race of the season at Indianapolis, the Pfaffborghini would run pretty decent until Marco Mappelli made contact with the Corvette of Nicky Katzberg. This caused a lot of damage to the rear of the car, which took multiple laps to fix. Mappelli also got hit with a penalty for the incident. The Pfaffborghini did not recover from this and finished P9 in class. Only one race remained, Petit Le Mans, the Pfaffborghini's last chance to end 2025 on a good note. The weekend got off to a shoddy start. Remember the torque sensor issues from Sebring? Well, they came back in practice and even quali, but luckily come race day, all was sorted and the Pfaffborghini was ready to cook. Unfortunately, as seems to always be the case, the plaid lads would hit trouble again. The only info I could find is that the problems were again electrical related. After it went behind the wall, that was pretty much it. The Pfaffborghini eventually came back, but by then, all was lost. The Pfaffborghini finished its maiden season only beating one other car in GTD Pro, the Vassar Sullivan 14 Lexus. A car that had a season so ass, one could actually dedicate an entire video to that, but instead we're talking about Pfaff. The thing is, as unlucky as the team was, see Daytona, Sebring and Road Atlanta for instance, the car just didn't really have any serious pace, did it? To be fair, Lambo didn't really have that much pace across GTD in general, and given that this was Pfaff's third GT3 car in 3 years, there would obviously be some growing pains. But after their struggles of their year with McLaren, Pfaff certainly was aiming for a resurgence in performance that didn't come. Alas, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Not only will Pfaff remain with Lamborghini, but Pfaffborghini will no longer be a Huracan after Daytona. Come Sebring, the Pfaffborghini will be the new Lamborghini Temerario GT3, the brand's GT3 successor. Will Pfaffborghini make the comeback of the ages in GTD Pro in 2026? Or will I actually have to come back for a third year in a row to cover another season from hell by Pfaff Motorsports? My name is Intern, I talk wheel, and thanks for watching.